it's a separation day in some ways. You got some teams that you feel like, all right, are the Chargers the Titans? Are either one of them any good? Are the Bengals better than 28-3? What about the Bills? They got to beat the Raiders at home, right? You got a lot of those games. But what's interesting is, even with all these NFL games, it still feels like everybody wants to talk Deion. Prime, who even though he hasn't played in the NFL in a long time, has gotten the world caring about Colorado football. And that leads people, Myron, to ask, could Prime coach in the NFL? We just heard Sean Merriman say no, basically saying, the whole Prime thing doesn't work in the NFL. I didn't know if it would work at a major college program, but at least so far it has. Myron, do you think it would work on an NFL franchise?
Yeah, I mean, it could, but it works better, I think, in college. I think that the challenge with the NFL is just a far more difficult assignment. I don't know what kind of play calling Deion is doing in Colorado, but you don't have to. If you got a good offensive coordinator you trust, a good defensive coordinator, your job is to manage, recruit, be the catalyst for the program, and there's nothing wrong with that. NFL, it's a different deal. Like, you got to be good at something, whether that's managing a game, offense or defense. But I don't know why he would leave college. Like, if Alabama loses Nick Saban at some point in the next year or two,
yeah, they would.
Deion's on that list. Okay, I'm not saying they would.
You think they would? You think they'd take that?
Hear me out.
Deion to Alabama.
Hear me out. The transfer portal NIL has changed everything, because what Deion has proven is that if you can't be a lightning rod for your program, you're in trouble in this era. So I think definitely, if you're Alabama, I'm not saying he's 1, 2, or even 3, but now he's in the conversation for the biggest jobs in the sport. And if you tell me he's not going to get those jobs, fine. That next tier, jobs 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, he's definitely in the conversation.
Yeah, he could get one of those. Yeah, I mean, I think you could see a team like, I don't know, what's a team that's starving for relevance but used to be a power? Well, let's say things don't work out for like James Franklin at Penn State. Right, like that's one where I could see a guy like Deion working. But in the NFL, I do think a big part of college, both in basketball and football, is motivation. Right? I mean, that's part of the reason guys who've been great college basketball coaches don't translate to NBA, because yelling and screaming and all the things they do doesn't work. I think motivation is a big part of college. I think when you get to the NFL, those people are all professionals. And then it's really about professionalism. And I'm not sure, I mean, this isn't a criticism, but I'm not sure that's Deion's strength. I think Deion's strength is more of a marketing motivation thing.
Yeah, I think he's in the perfect situation. I think in the NFL, you can't necessarily be Deion. They wouldn't let him be Deion as a player, right? So,
yeah,
as a coach, I think it would be hard for him, whereas Deion's in the sweet spot. And I know he's going to be tempted to take other jobs, as anyone would be. But he's in a place, Matt, that has basically said, whoever you want to be, we'll let you. And you don't get that in the NFL. You don't even get that with the top-tier college programs. But at Colorado, he has that.
And he's going to be in the Big – people have to remember, he's going to be in the Big 12. And in the Big 12, they might, with Deion, be the most marketable program in the conference. I mean, when Texas and Oklahoma leave that conference and you see what's left, you could make an argument that a Deion-led Colorado is the most marketable program left in the Big 12. And I actually think there's a lot of value, Myron, in that if that ends up being what happened.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could be the team that everybody's talking about in the Big 12. You're the team everybody's talking about right now. Does anybody know who Alabama played last night, or who Georgia played last night, or who Ohio State played last night? No. But they were up till 2 a.m. Eastern time to watch Colorado State. So I think Deion in college is the perfect fit. And in the NFL, where they fire everybody, I'm not sure why you would want that assignment when you got everything perfect here.
Yeah. Well, let's switch to the NFL. The Commanders, that's right, the Washington team that barely beat Arizona. They've got the Broncos today. Russell Wilson, I think Myron has already said that they are done. That Russell Wilson and the Broncos, after one game, he's ready to write them off. If they won today against Washington, would you feel like that's something that changes?
If he was phenomenal, I mean, think about what he has to get through in the AFC. You couldn't beat Jimmy Garoppolo, you know? I mean, who I think has two bionic shoulders.
The most disrespected quarterback in the NFL, Jimmy Garoppolo, who all he does is win. The moment he leaves, he is the most disrespected guy, but nevertheless, you are disrespecting him here as well.
Well, you made your case about Atlanta blowing 28-3. That guy was up 10 going into the fourth quarter against Kansas City and couldn't get the job done. You couldn't beat Jimmy Garoppolo at home, right? You've got to go through Tua and maybe Josh Allen if he figures it out and somebody in the AFC North. I just don't see the path to the playoffs unless Russell Wilson is phenomenal. And if he's not phenomenal, then what's Denver going to do? You can't be average in the AFC, and that's going to work in your favor. So it's a big game. Whereas Sam Howell in Washington, which nearly lost to an Arizona team that is trying to lose as many games as possible, they didn't look great last week either. It should be an elimination game. The loser should have to go to like the SEC East or something like that.
Hey, stop. Stop the SEC East talk. Kentucky Wildcats are in the SEC East. I don't want to hear your nonsense. Zach Bye. He is the co-host of Stokely and Zach on 104.3 in Denver. He was on with Freddie and Harry. That's a lot of names. Stokely, Zach, Freddie, and Harry. But he said that if Russell Wilson loses today, he won't even be the starting quarterback next week.
If they do not beat Sam Howell and the Commanders this weekend, as sure as I am talking to you right now, you will see Jarrett Stidham out there playing for Sean Payton, whether Russell Wilson is healthy or not. Because here's the kicker decision. With this new contract that hasn't even kicked in yet, okay, because they did the deal with 2 years left on the current contract. So the new contract, the third biggest in the history of a quarterback position, doesn't even kick in until next year. But this is why I brought this up. The Broncos have a decision to make after this year. If Russell Wilson is on the roster at the first day of the new league year, his money not only kicks in for 2024, it kicks in for 2025. So you need to see what you have in Russell Wilson, because if you're going to move forward with him, you move forward with him in wholesale financially for the next 2 years, as opposed to if he doesn't play well, they can actually designate him as one of these post-June 1st cuts and spread the damage out over the course of the next few years.
Zach Bye seems to be ready to say bye to Russell Wilson. Do you think he's right about all that?
No, he's not right. And here's why.
Oh, wow.
The dead cap. The dead cap is something that you can't ignore. The dead cap is how the NFL prevents teams from spending a bunch of money on a top-tier player and then just getting rid of that player because it doesn't work out and they move on. It's an incredible thing when it comes to competitiveness across the league, which is why it exists. If you leave, then you are essentially financially penalized, or if you cut a guy or get rid of him, you're penalized financially. Right now, okay, Matt Jones, you understand dollars and cents.
I'm here,
okay?
Yes. As you can see, if you watch that documentary, I lose a lot of 100%. It in that space.
In wrestlers, you talk a lot about money. If you get rid of Russell Wilson after this season, the dead cap hit, which is the amount of money that counts against your salary cap if you're the Broncos, will be $85 million. That's
a lot.
I'm going to say that number again. If you get rid of Russell Wilson after this season, it is an $85 million dead cap hit against your salary cap numbers. That is impossible. We were talking about Carson Wentz getting traded from Philadelphia, and his cap hit was $30 million, and it seemed crazy. $85 million is impossible. I don't think you can get rid of Russell Wilson. I don't think you can move on from him. You have what you have, and Sean Payton's going to have to work with him for the next year at least.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. It's too much of a franchise crippler. But he might very well end up on the bench, though. I mean, he might be the most expensive bench player in the history of the NFL, but that is something I do think is plausible. It is time to do fantasy football. You know fantasy football. You're sitting there saying, should I believe in week 2? What do? Do I play the guys that didn't score any points, or do I go with somebody new? We will have our fantasy expert. We will get your fantasy football questions. 888-SAY-ESPN. 888-SAY-ESPN. You give us your questions. We will give your answer. Liz Loza, who absolutely crushed it last week, Myron. She will join us to answer all your questions. 888-SAY-ESPN. Plus, we'll get you ready for the rest of the games. Hour number 3 coming on Countdown to Kickoff right here on ESPN Radio.
Hey, it's Chris Candy. Coming up Monday, it doesn't get any better than Browns Steelers on Monday night. I'll tell you what it'll take for Pittsburgh to get it done. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead ran away and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
I loved playing high school sports. I loved the competition, the camaraderie, the bands, the crowds, all the pageantry, and I wanted to keep playing. But I graduated. No colleges called, and neither did the pros. So, to stay close to the game I loved, I decided to become a high school official. You know, a referee. When I played high school sports, I learned the importance of integrity, good sportsmanship, and respect for the rules. Now, as a high school official, I get to help model these same values to others. Maybe the colleges and the pros didn't call, but the kids in Alabama did. And now, I'm enjoying the competition, the camaraderie, the bands, the crowds, and all the pageantry of high school sports all over again.
Interested in becoming a licensed high school official? Go to highschoolofficials.com to learn more and begin the application process.
The Drive.
You know, both those guys have done a good job in what we've asked them to do, and both of them have developed nicely, and both of them have consistently made plays.
Wes and Steve.
Their decision-making, their judgment, their ability not to force things and take what the defense gives and distribute the ball with good decision-making, down in, down out, is...
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. 8 early NFL games kick off 1 hour from now in Cincinnati. The Bengals host the Ravens. Baltimore tight end Mark Andrews is active today. He missed the opener with a quad injury. And according to the odds makers, the AFC North is the tightest division race in the NFL. Bears offensive lineman Nate Davis is out for today against the Buccaneers. ESPN's Courtney Cronin reports Davis is dealing with the death of a family member on Saturday. Bills safety Damar Hamlin out for the second straight week. He is healthy and practicing after coming back from cardiac arrest in January. The Bills host the Raiders today. They're the best story in college football. The Colorado Buffaloes now 3-0 under head coach Deion Sanders. So would Sanders' success translate if he were an NFL head coach? Three-time Pro Bowler Sean Merriman.
No, absolutely not. You know, sometimes great college coaches just don't make that transition well in the pros. You know, you got guys making a ton of money with families and so forth.
So the respect level and the way you talk to them, the way they listen and go about everything is going to be different. And there's nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing wrong with being a great college coach and not really fitting into that NFL, lifestyle and coaching style. So I think he was dead on what he said.
Sean Merriman on Countdown to Kickoff. Sanders has said he's not interested in coaching in the NFL. Buffs wideout and corner Travis Hunter taken to the hospital overnight. Sanders says he could be out for a few weeks.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome to the Bama Recap Show, presented by Freedom Marine Center. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Drew DeArmond and Steve Moulton.
Quarterback pressure. He's going down. A loss on the play. Bama forces the takeaway as the second sack of the opening quarter results in a turnover on downs by the Bama D. Again with a man in motion. They'll go play action this time. Pressure coming from the edge. They'll beat one man. Ball's knocked loose. It's on the ground. Scramble. Bama has it. Bama has it. Crimson Tide with a football for the 25. Dallas Turner strips it away. We'll see who has it for Alabama as they unpile. I think it's the freshman from Montgomery, Alabama, James Smith. Alabama comes up with it. Reichard operating from the right hash. The ball will be placed on the 20 when the snap comes to Burnham. He puts it down. Reichard's kick from 30 yards is up. It splits the uprights, and we are tied at 3. Again, Alabama and USF with 2:10 remaining here in the second quarter. Again, the handoff. Williams bounces it left, bounces across the 30. Foot race, midfield, 45, 40, stops, gets knocked down, and wisely Tyler Watts stayed in bounds as he's brought down right around the 30. It's only a one-score game. Simpson under center, tries to push the pile forward. He does. Touchdown, Alabama. Crimson Tide with 33 seconds to go. Grabs now a 16-3 lead. And that'll be the final play of the game. The Crimson Tide survives a gutty, gritty final drive of the game offensively for Alabama as the Tide gets the victory and claims a 17-3 win over USF.
Hey, good Sunday morning to you. Those calls courtesy of Learfield. He is Drew DeArmond. Steve Moulton here with you. Drew DeArmond, where do you want to start?
Well, I mean, obviously the offensive line struggles are paramount right now. Certainly, it's been well documented. Caden Proctor struggling at left tackle. But, I mean, even Latham gave up a sack yesterday. I mean, he had bright moments. But overall, the offensive line consistency, I think, is the biggest problem. And then, of course, quarterback play. Tyler Buckner got a chance to start. Just did not play well, could never get into a rhythm. Was inches away from about a 50-yard touchdown pass to Jermaine Burton, but they didn't get that done. And the biggest problem, though, was the short intermediate passing. And, of course, he also had to play through a monsoon that stopped the game for about an hour. But the short stuff.
Thank goodness for the monsoon.
Yeah, I mean, the short stuff just wasn't – he couldn't get anything going. I mean, I thought, much like Milroe, he left plays out there. I thought some of the throws were there. He just did not hit them. And I was hoping that he would be able to keep the offense on schedule, move the chains. I'd heard he'd done that during the week, and especially in the Thursday practice when they went good on good. But it just didn't translate to the game. And, when you're throwing quick screens in the quick game and they're having to – catch the ball and fall down, or they can't, get up the field with the football, you're just hamstringing everything. And he's got a funny release anyway, and the ball tends to dive into the ground. That's the first thing I noticed at the open practice that we went to, and that was a huge problem yesterday because there were times they gave him plenty of time to throw the football, and he's one hopping like quick out throws to Burton and stuff where they're open. You've got to be able to hit those throws and keep the offense on schedule, because South Florida, they just took their chances, man. They put a bunch of guys up on the line of scrimmage. They were going to take the runaway, and this Alabama offensive line got it going in the second half, but it took a while, and as far from a run blocking perspective. And so after the opening snap, which I think Jace took around 20 yards, they just really had a lot of problems because they didn't respect Alabama's passing game. They're like, we're going to dare you to throw it, and we're going to take something away. And even a team like South Florida, who's not very good, they can try to take that away. And I think they did a lot of what Middle Tennessee did, and they tried to. But Alabama, Milroe made him pay because he hit deep balls. And so and Alabama could not hit any of those yesterday except for, I guess you could say, the 45-yarder over the middle, Ty Simpson's throw to C.J. Dupree.
Yeah.
I will say I think only he and Lonergan can make that kind of touch throw.
Yeah.
Milroe kind of struggles with the touch part of it. But again, I thought Ty did a pretty good job for being, because you got to understand something. That is the first time he's ever played in a game where it mattered.
Yeah.
Like, except for every other time he's ever played, earlier this year against Middle Tennessee and last year, they're up 40 points. He's just handing the ball off and maybe throwing a quick out or something. Nothing mattered. And so that was the first time he's done that. The offensive line didn't help him at times, certainly gave up some sacks. There were times that he held the ball too long. But again, it kind of reminded me of when I saw Mac Jones against Tennessee back in 2019 when Tua Tagovailoa hurt his ankle and ended up with a tightrope surgery. Alabama was hammering Tennessee, and all of a sudden he goes down awkwardly, and the ambulance is there. Everybody's like, oh, my Lord, they're having to take Tua to the hospital. And Mac looked like a scared rabbit. Alabama didn't finish that game strong. And the next week, he had to start against Arkansas. Now, this was a horrendous Arkansas team, kind of like South Florida.
I was about to say, it reminded me a little bit of South Florida.
South Florida would have beat Arkansas that year. North Texas sure did. Everybody did. San Jose State. But I was still like, wow, is Alabama going to have trouble with Arkansas? Because you've got to be able to move the football. But I think he ended up like 18 of 22, did Mac, for over 200 yards, and Alabama rolled them. But he had Steve Sarkisian also designing the offense for him as well.
Yeah.
There's a different coaching staff. But I'm intrigued to see what happens if they give Ty the whole week. Like, okay, you're the guy. We're going to prepare you for this. Because to me, I don't think you go back to Milroe right away. I think he's number 2.
Do you?
Yeah, I think he'll be number 2. Yeah, Buckner should be 4th. He was that bad. He was horrendous. When you can't, look, and Milroe's a better athlete than Buckner. He can at least make a 50, 60, 70, 80-yard run. Now, Buckner is a good enough athlete, but and I feel bad for Buckner. It's not all his fault, but I just don't think – I think he lacks the arm talent that this offense needs, because with Milroe, it's never been about arm talent. Like, the arm strength, he probably has the strongest arm on the team. It's about the decision-making and the accuracy. But see, look, there's a big-time accuracy issue with Buckner, too. So to me, he'll probably be 3rd because I think they want to redshirt Lonergan. But I would just be developing Lonergan because I think he has a long-term future in the offense at Alabama. Now, Tommy Reeves may disagree, but who knows? Tommy Reeves better get his ass in gear. He'll be a one-and-done. So you know what I'm saying? Because the offense has got to get better. Period. End of story. Because there is talent there, and you've got to look, man. You were brought in because Nick Saban liked your lineage and things. Let's see if you can develop a quarterback, because you definitely need to develop one. And Ty Simpson has the tools. I think the one thing I will say in Buckner and Simpson's defense, and I know it was South Florida, but they didn't turn it over. If they turned it over yesterday, Alabama would have lost that game.
That's right.
The defense stood on their head a little bit.
It's the only reason that the game was tied at 3 is because of a South Florida turnover.
Where Kool-Aid McKinstry was trying to get people away from the ball, and he probably should have just stayed back, but he was afraid. I think he was afraid he was going to hit one of his teammates because of the way it bounced, and so he was running up there like, get away, and then it bounced funny and hit him.
Yeah.
It was bad luck, but it's the only way they scored, because Alabama did stop them in the red zone a couple of times, but by then Alabama finally had the lead because they were able to cash in a drive. But I thought Ty Simpson showed enough, and everybody keeps talking about, play Milroe because of his mobility. Look, Ty's plenty mobile, man. He is plenty mobile. He has got definite athleticism. You just have to design the offense around him, and to me, and give him a shot. He gives you more of a chance to go through reads in the drop-back passing game. That's the biggest, detriment for Milroe right now, is reading defenses and making the right decisions. We don't know about Simpson yet. Just like Buckner got a shot, he didn't play well enough. And people were asking me all week, well, is Buckner really going to start? I said, yeah. And they're like, well, who do you think the backup's going to be? I'd say, based on my intel, it'll be Simpson. But I said, if Buckner doesn't play well, then Ty will get a shot. Because I was asked, you think Ty's going to play? I said, what Alabama hopes is in the second half when the game's over. But if he struggles, I'm talking about Buckner, then Simpson could get in the first half, which he did. And so I just think Ty Simpson's going to be the starter next week, in my opinion, with Milroe the backup.
I did want to play a little bit of Coach Saban right afterwards. Here is Coach and his immediate thoughts.
So I'm really proud of our players, the way they competed in the game. This was obviously a tough game, and I thought the defense, did an outstanding job of only giving up 3 points, and that was after a turnover. That gave them good field position. So a lot of guys really played well. I pressured the quarterback pretty well, didn't give up a lot of explosive plays, so kept them off the board. And, I know that we struggled a little bit on offense. We ran the ball fairly well, much better in the second half than we did the first. But I'm really proud of our players for the way they competed in the game. I need to do a better job of getting them ready to play in games like this. And we're a little flat in the beginning, but after the rain delay, I thought we competed better in the game. And I want our players to be happy about the fact that they won and enjoy it for 24 hours. I know we got the SEC coming up next week, and obviously we got a lot of things to fix, and we'll work on it. But we've actually had 4 touchdowns, negated this year because of penalties. Kickoff return today, touchdown run today. 2 last week. So all these things add up to just how much consistency and how well do you play, how many points do you score. So we need to fix all those things, and we're certainly going to work on it. But I know you're going to ask me about quarterback, but we're going to evaluate the quarterbacks that played today and evaluate Jalen Milroe in terms of how he played, and decide, this week who gives us the best opportunity to be successful as an offensive team, and that's the way we'll go. So, but I'm proud of our players. I'm proud of the way they competed in the game. Talk about having them back against the wall, quite a bit. And guys came through when they needed to. It was a great job drive with 6 minutes and 29 seconds to go in the game. I challenged the offensive line and said, don't give them the ball back. Take the clock and the game. And that's exactly what they did. And I thought they dominated the line of scrimmage. And we got in some close formations because they were giving us so much edge pressure and giving us negative plays. And, we had a couple guys miss the game today. Jaheim Otis had an ankle injury, so he should be okay. K-Law was sick, so he actually didn't even make the trip. Very sick, but I think he'll be okay. And, Booker didn't play. Book's kind of the leader of the offensive line. He certainly helped 74 play better because he plays beside him and makes some off calls. And I think 74 has a lot more confidence when he's in there. So hopefully we'll get him back next week as well.
That is the opening comments there from Coach Nick Saban. And yes, there were some guys missing, noticeable guys. And we haven't used the word leadership, I think, enough on this team this year. Who are the leaders on this football team?
That's a great question. I think that's to be determined. I think Booker's one of them. Supposedly he had back spasms because, to me, I didn't think it was a disciplinary suspension for a couple of reasons. He had his pads on, but the biggest thing is he was announced as a captain.
Yeah.
If you're suspended, I don't think you're going to be a game captain. So, and again, I think he had it. He may have even tried to go. I don't know if he warmed up, but he had back spasms, so he couldn't play. So T.J. Ferguson was in there at left guard. He's kind of been the swing guard, all camp, playing right. Because he played a lot of right against Middle Tennessee. I thought we might even see him at right yesterday, but when Booker was out, of course you're not going to.
Yeah.
And then Otis, I've heard it's a ankle/foot. I hope he's back for Ole Miss. It could be a couple more weeks. I don't know. We'll see. I was just told before the game he was very unlikely to play, and tweeted that out. That Otis, had a foot injury, and we wouldn't be seeing him. So that and then Kendrick Law, he didn't even make the trip. He's had a little bit of a shoulder, but yesterday he was sick. From what I understand, there's been a flu bug kind of going through the team. At first, I thought that may be what was wrong with Booker.
Yeah.
Because I was like, maybe Booker's sick, dude. Because I don't know, but because he was there. But yeah, according to Coach, he said that they would hope to have him back next week. But I was told back spasms. So again, we'll see. But I think that's a work in progress. Milroe was trying to lead from the sideline. I'll give him a lot of credit for that. He certainly was the first to congratulate Ty Simpson after the quarterback sneak to seal the game. So he's certainly trying to step up. And in media opportunities, we've had a couple of those that we've replayed for you here on the show the last couple of weeks. He certainly sounded good in trying to lead. So I think that's kind of a work in progress right now. We'll see. I think Deontay Lawson's trying to do that from the defensive side. Even though he's only a redshirt sophomore, he's still kind of on the young side.
You were going where I was about to go. You're talking about a sophomore right there.
Yeah. So they've got some young cats, and Justin Aboigbe, even though he's kind of a quiet kind of guy. Yeah. But again, they just have to continue to work and get better. 74 is going to be a good player in Caden Proctor, but he's young. He's a freshman. But see, everybody keeps saying, well, go to the Elijah Pritchett. Trust me, he beat Elijah Pritchett out for a reason. Okay,
he'd be out there if he beat him.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of options. So the Kites, the Damian Joy, all these guys transferred.
That's
okay,
right. Yeah.
They hit the portal, so they've got Wilkin Formby, who's another developing redshirt freshman. They don't have a lot of options at tackle. Okay, and then of course I had people on Twitter want me to say, well, flip J.C. Latham to left tackle.
Just not easy.
No. If you were going to do that, you do it in the spring or the fall, in fall camp. It never happened, okay? So you're not – to me, that's a panic move, okay? All of a sudden, let's switch everybody. Like it's a video game. Okay, he'll be at 99, so put him over here. But I just don't – I think you just have to roll with what you got and try to find that 5, if it includes T.J. Ferguson or not, and start getting better. And I'll just say one more thing before we go back to the phone. Don't forget 2012. It's still considered one of the best offensive lines in history at Alabama. And and Jeff Stoutland coached that group, who's now at the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
I watched the game with Western Kentucky. Alabama won 35-0, and Fluker gave up 5 sacks. And everybody wanted to fire Stoutland and said the offensive line was an abomination. So you just got to give them time to gel, man. I think the biggest concern, though, is getting that line gelled and then Rees developing these quarterbacks, because at least defensively they did some good things yesterday.
256-576-4977 is the telephone number. I know for a fact that our phone caller was down in Tampa. It's Brandon who has called in. How are you, Brandon?
Man, we're here at the airport at Tampa.
What's up, man?
Going through security here is kind of like driving through Center Alabama compared to Atlanta. We left before 2 o'clock on Thursday, and our plane boarded at 10 till 6, and they were boarding by the time we got to the gate.
Wow.
That's how long it took, and that's what that game felt like yesterday, an eternity. It was. Those people were so fired up at that game. They were cheering their team on. They couldn't get coordinated, but that was their Super Bowl. They showed up. They partied. They had a good time in the parking lot, and that's the most money I think I've ever spent on a game to be so disappointed, except for UCLA 2000.
Ooh.
Oh, you were at the Rose Bowl?
Ooh.
I was.
Oh, wow. I would definitely want a refund on that one. I would go to DuBose for that.
Yeah, my uncle took me. That was the first game I ever went to.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
We went there first time.
Should have left right after kickoff, Brandon.
Right after Freddie Mellons, and then just hit the gates, man.
Should have left right after kickoff.
Well, I got a host yesterday after the game was over. We go out and get some pictures with Kool-Aid and a few other people. And Jalen Milroe's dad's out there cussing and screaming at everybody at the player buses, talking about, run your mouth about my kid now. Nobody was saying anything. It was all quiet, and just out of nowhere, he starts screaming and just carrying on and carrying on and carrying on. And
that really helps your son, by the way.
Yeah.
Really, sends a great message to the coaching staff.
Oh, it was loud. Like, everybody heard it. He was so loud that the police started security started kind of getting close. They didn't have to come up and say nothing to him because he's a big dude, too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 3 of me. So nobody really said anything to him because you would end up in a brawl if you did. But like I told the guy next to me, I'm not mad at Jalen Milroe. I don't want to run him off.
Nobody
is. He's a good person. I just think he needs more time to develop habits and throwing ability, and it's sad that they haven't got him that by now. But the offensive line is a problem. I mean, I was shocked yesterday at how bad it was, but I also remember Georgia State and the 10 horn. I mean, they run through us like.
Oh, Georgia Southern, yes.
Georgia Southern, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Georgia Southern, yeah.
2011.
You can have really bad days, and I think right now that it was a letdown after the Texas game. I think a lot of people need to get their mind right, and they need to focus. We're not this bad. We played so much worse yesterday than we actually were that it was shocking. And I was worried about a letdown. I was worried about guys being like, well, hell, the season's over. What does it matter at this point? And I think there was some of that yesterday. But one thing I know for sure, my boy standing right here to me can throw a ball better than Tyler Buckner can.
Yeah, that was a struggle bus, man.
But we had a good time. Like, real fans go to road games. And this is one of the best venues I've been to where I've enjoyed myself. I didn't get to go to Hawaii all those years ago. Way too poor for that back in them days. But I really enjoyed coming here. And I think everybody from IMG was there. I think half the IMG football team was there.
Nice.
We saw a bunch of guys there. So if we ever have another road game to a non-conference opponent, I hope it's somewhere like this or to Miami. This was a good trip. Really enjoyed the beach. Really enjoyed taking my son a bunch of places.
Yeah, you went fishing. You went fishing.
We went fishing. We had a real good time. We were driving back last night and drove past Tattletales and saw some ladies out there that were they put up more of a fight in the parking lot than Alabama and USF did on the field. So interesting trip. But love you guys.
Thank you, Brandon. Safe travels, brother.
Roll Tide.
Have a safe trip there, Brandon.
The one and only Brandon.
Yeah.
I was getting pictures all weekend.
I hope you didn't get too many from last night's trip.
No, I got a descriptive text is all I got.
Okay. Always appreciate Brandon and his thoughts as he's down in Tampa getting ready to head back to the homestead. Our Bama Recap Show presented by Freedom Marine Center. You can head over and check out all of the latest deals over there at Freedom Marine Center. They're right next to beautiful Lake Guntersville. We'll continue to take your phone calls on this Sunday morning as you're walking you up to Falcons football as Atlanta looks for a 2-0 start as they take on the Green Bay Packers. That is coming up at high noon. We'll be right back.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
There's nothing like the freedom you feel when you're on the water in your own boat from Freedom Marine in Guntersville. New or used, Freedom Marine has just the boat to make your time on the water the best it can be. Pontoons, fishing, ski boats, you name it. And all season long, Freedom Marine is giving away 4 packs of Alabama football tickets. Just log on the Freedom Marine Facebook page and like, share, and comment to be eligible. New and used boats, outboard sales, financing, service, and parts. It's Freedom Marine. Highway 431 in Guntersville and online at freedommarincenter.com.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, if you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
Injuries at work happen all the time in Alabama. So do motor vehicle and slip and fall accidents. If you're hurt at work or injured in an accident, I want you to call my good friends at Pond, Lehocky, Giordano. That's Pond, Lehocky, Alabama's injury law firm. They got your back just like they've got mine. For personalized legal support, reach out to Pond, Lehocky at 855-774-3838 or pondlehocky.com.
The representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers. There's nothing like the freedom you feel when you're on the water in your own boat from Freedom Marine in Guntersville. New or used, Freedom Marine has just the boat to make your time on the water the best it can be. Pontoons, fishing, ski boats, you name it. And all season long, Freedom Marine is giving away 4 packs of Alabama football tickets. Just log on the Freedom Marine Facebook page and like, share, and comment to be eligible. New and used boats, outboard sales, financing, service, and parts. It's Freedom Marine. Highway 431 in Guntersville and online at freedommarincenter.com.
I'm sorry? Yeah, it's back spasms. Well, I think that's an internal team thing. I think that everybody has the opportunity to respond in the right way when things don't go exactly like you want them to, and we play the guys that practice the best all week long.
How do you evaluate the offensive line performance overall today?
Well, how many sacks did they have? Based on that, I wouldn't evaluate it very, very well. Some of them were mental errors. We knew they were going to pressure a lot. They got a really good pressure package. We messed up the protections several times. We got beat a couple times. So we need to get that fixed, because that's been an area that has been a consistent problem for us all year. Last week with the sacks, this week with the sacks, and those are drive killers, and we got to eliminate that.
Guys, raise your hand for me and speak up, please.
That is a little bit of Coach Saban as well as Josh Maxson there at the end.
Yeah.
Speak up.
Well,
but nonetheless, let's see whether or not Alabama can hear the message that we're hearing from Nick Saban, specifically on the offensive line. Let's flip over to the defense, shall we? Let's focus on some good that we saw yesterday out of the Crimson Tide and how dominating at times that defense was yesterday, Drew.
Well, I thought Dallas Turner had his best game. He had 2.5 sacks. He had a forced fumble that helped Alabama get on the scoreboard to tie the game at 3. And, I thought, I believe he led the team in tackles. I didn't check the final stats. I know at one time he was.
He, had ended up with 10 tackles, 4 solos, 1 sack, 1.5 TFLs as well.
Yeah, I mean, he really played hard, I thought. and kind of set the tone early, especially with his pursuit. I thought Braswell flashed some, even though he missed a couple of opportunities, I thought, for sacks.
He had 3 tackles for loss.
But and then the defensive line, they had some bright moments, but I thought they got pushed around a little bit and lost contain on the quarterback.
Did they miss Jaheim?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're going to miss Jaheim Otis. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Tim Smith started in his place.
Yep.
I still think they need more out of the D-line. I thought Deontay played well. They rotated Trez, and then we saw some of Jihad Campbell and Kendrick Blackshire. So they're kind of rotating at the will spot next to Deontay, who's the Mike. But I thought defensively they played pretty well. Unfortunately, they did cost themselves an interception, and I believe it was Jihad who got the stupid penalty that waved off, Kool-Aid's interception because he ran the route better than the receiver. Now, was that quarterback very good for South Florida? I don't think so. He could run. He was an extremely good athlete, but he wasn't a great passer. But you saw Malachi Moore get an end zone interception. They did, as I said, you had the strip sack from Dallas Turner. So they did force turnovers, and even though they let them drive the ball a couple times, they turned them away in the red zone when they had to. And it's a bottom line game, man. How many points did you score? And I thought Simpson, he led them to 14 points, or really all 17, I should say.
Yeah.
And then I thought the defense stood on their head, and if it wasn't for a botched punt return, they probably would have gotten a shutout against South Florida. So that's what you have to do. I thought special teams once again was strong. Will Reichert did his job. I will say, and I think maybe I wish somebody had asked Coach Saban this question in the post game, but I was a little surprised that they didn't just kick the field goal to go up 13-3 with Reichert because it was like 38 yards. But they came out, and I would have asked Coach, was the plan to try to draw them off?
It was asked.
So it was.
It was asked.
I did not hear the whole press conference.
So it was asked, and yes, that was the plan. Had South Florida not been drawn off, Reichert would have come out and attempted a field goal.
Gotcha. That's what I sort of figured.
But why don't we see more of that situational football? It's really smart when you're depending on someone not to be smart.
Yeah, and it was a huge mental error for South Florida because it meant Alabama ended up scoring in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say I thought the holding call on Proctor on that touchdown to Roy Dell was a little bit iffy.
Yeah.
Just talking to a couple of different people who I was trying to see if I could tell, what the penalty was. It was behind the play, and it was really, really ticky-tack, according to a couple of people that I trust that I talked with. But I will say Alabama overcame it because Roy Dell ran like his hair was on fire. And they were able to still punch it in. And by the time you punch that in with 30 seconds to go, the game's over. I mean, you're up 2 scores.
Yeah.
All South Florida's going to do is run the clock out because they have no shot anyway.
Well, that's another positive part of this game was what Coach Saban mentioned of the fourth quarter going up to the offensive line saying, let's not give the football back to them, dominate right here. And they were able to drive right down.
Yeah, and then Burnup was probably the MVP of the game because he had to punt, I think, 8 times. He averaged nearly 50. I mean, he did one heck of a job keeping them backed up.
He did.
I mean,
he did.
Once again, if your special teams are having to be the MVP, at least this time you win, though.
Yeah.
In this situation,
he did punt 8 times. It was an average of 46.1 yards per punt. His longest was 60. He had 4 of those 8 punts inside the 20-yard line.
Yeah, pretty much I thought there was only one I thought he hit poorly. Everything else I thought he boomed. Now they didn't always down him inside the 5, but I mean they got touchbacks.
He did what he was supposed to do.
He did exactly. He got the hang time. He got the distance, and he backed up South Florida the entire game. Don't give him a short. The only time they gave him a short field was when they got a field goal.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just don't give them anything. Make them earn it. And that's why they ended up getting the 17-3 ugly win. And again, the game it reminded me of was Arkansas in 2014, which was a 14-13 brutalization where Arkansas fumbled through the end zone in the first quarter where they would have scored then, and Arkansas blew a few opportunities. And late in the game, Landon Collins got an interception to seal it, and Alabama escaped with a 14-13 win. Blake Sims played very poorly. Everybody wanted to bench him.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody wanted to fire Lane Kiffin.
That was the fiery comeback after the game. Was that right after, or I think it was the Monday press conference? Nick Saban saying everybody's upset that we won by a point.
I think it was right after. I think he basically said he thought the team came together, and he's like, we're not going to apologize for winning around here.
Yeah.
We won on the road. A win's a win. And so, again, would have been much more catastrophic to lose the game.
Yeah.
But
ask Tennessee.
We'll
get to that later.
Yeah, but I was told that Joe Moulton was going to win the Heisman, Steve. Well, see, it's a punt, pass, and kick contest. Because if you can throw the ball, that's all that matters. You know what I'm saying? Because our head coach is a genius. Yeah, he's a genius.
You want to talk about intermediate passing game? Anyway, we'll get to the full Southeastern Conference slate in a little bit later on, but this is the Bama Recap Show presented by Freedom Marine Center. Your phone calls are welcome here this Sunday morning, 256-576-4977. Third down conversions. Bama was 5 of 15 yesterday in South Florida at Tampa. Overall, the Crimson Tide did outgain the Bulls 310 to 264, but there's a lot to correct, Drew.
Question about it, man. I mean, Alabama's got a lot to correct.
In the zone. Who's us?
No question. They have to. The offensive line issues have to be addressed. I mean, I still think when you think about it that they're going to have. I would help Proctor, not just with Booker, but I would help. I would put a tight end over there to Chip and give him some help early at least. I think you have to adjust some of the play calling. The only time I really got irritated at the play calling, people always complain about play calling if the offense isn't great. Yeah. But I thought one mistake that Reeves made. Alabama got it going at the end of the first half. And Jace McClellan got him a 1st and goal, and I thought they should have kept running the ball when Ty was in there. I thought on 1st down they should have kept running it. They tried to throw, and of course South Florida blitzed up the middle, and he had to throw the ball away. Just throw it. Now Oots was over there, so he didn't get a grounding call, but he was smart. Get rid of it. Don't take a loss. And they ended up getting him sacked on 3rd down after they tried to run it on 2nd down. Yeah. I thought they should have just tried to keep pounding because I thought they were getting South Florida on their heels there. And then, like a friend of mine said, hey, run it on 1st down. And then maybe you can RPO him on 2nd down and maybe hit a quick pop to the tight end or whatever, and then throw it on and then catch him in a look throwing the football. But again, I just thought they should have kept pounding it because I thought they finally started getting some movement after that initial burst on the first play of the game. They started wearing down South Florida, but you ended up keeping them in the game because I thought some questionable play call and you had to settle for a 30-yard field goal. Now luckily Reichert kicked it. Oh, by the way, loved the camera work yesterday. I mean, it was just awesome. What a first half.
Let's talk to Ryan on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Good morning, Ryan.
Hey, good morning, guys. So just two things. First, what are your thoughts on what is the true root cause of the deficiency of the O-line? We know they're gigantic, physical size, yada, yada. Is this some sort of coaching deficiency from Wolford? Because these guys are skilled. Proctor, highly rated. Others are good. What do you think the root cause is with the O-line of them performing horribly at the beginning of this season so far?
Well, I think honestly, it hasn't helped at all with McLaughlin's hand injury. Yeah, I think that's screwed a lot of things up from the center position. They've had trouble with the snaps. He's been a little banged up. No doubt about that.
Tried to play through it in the Texas game.
Yeah, he's tried to play through it he didn't practice, from what I understand, until Thursday of this past week. So I believe they put Darian Dalcourt and Brockermeyer there. So they've had some issues with the snaps. You had Booker out yesterday, who to me is your best guard by far and away. He's not there. He's a captain / All-American candidate. So you didn't have him. And I think they've had kind of a revolving door at right guard. They're trying to gain the consistency. Is it Dalcourt? Is it T.J. Ferguson? It's been mostly Dalcourt so far, but we have seen TJ over there. So I think it's all about them gelling. And then Proctor is a freshman that's being indoctrinated. He was 390 in the spring. They've been trying to get him down a little bit, get his weight down. But I will say he beat out Elijah Pritchett for a reason. Elijah had trouble blocking off the edge in the spring and the fall as well against Alabama's guys. So it's not like you can just plug in Elijah Pritchett and all of a sudden, no, he'll pass protect better. There's a reason Proctor beat him out. This is not because Pritchett was heavily recruited too. Everybody they've got's heavily recruited.
Yeah.
But the transfer portal has changed a lot of things. You lose a lot of your depth, and so a lot of it is just freshmen and really young guys like Miles McVeigh and Wilkin Formby. So you don't have a lot of guys to go to, man. You got to try to develop what you got, and the continuity isn't there yet. And the quarterback position's been in flux, and the quarterback position can affect the O-line because at times you hold the ball too long when you should be getting rid of it. And last year, Bryce Young was a wizard because he was so elusive. He could get away from pressure. He kind of had eyes in the back of his head. He could feel it.
Yeah.
And some of these guys right now are still developing, and they're not as further along. And they're not, no disrespect to any of them, they're not the future number one pick in the draft.
No.
So it sounds like they got to learn technical things, like the proper hand movement and placement when you're moving split-second 300-pound dudes on both sides of the ball. It's just like they're getting overwhelmed or they're intimidated. I don't know. But on the quarterback side, so I know people look up to Jalen Milroe as a leader/aura. He has that aura. He's headed that way. But two things here. I don't think he knows how to process the first 1 to 2 seconds after the snap where it's like all lightning quick reaction. When he had that interception against Texas, he obviously didn't process that other guy that was going to intercept it. And then the last thing about the QB room is I don't think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think people look up to Ty Simpson as a leader. He almost has like the aura of a non-leader. Like he doesn't, I don't see him commanding the crowd the way Bryce does. It's like he doesn't have a leader aura. And from what I saw at the spring game and the processing capability in the first 1 to 2 seconds after the snap, I think we need to give serious look at Lonergan because he has that baseball arm and he can process. I mean, what are your all thoughts on just a couple QB thoughts?
Appreciate the phone call, Ryan.
I'll just say this, and I've said it before. I think Lonergan has the most arm talent, but if you get to Lonergan, the season is over from the standpoint you're not in contention for any kind of SEC championship game or division title. If it gets to that point, I think they want to redshirt the kid because you have the 4-game rule. But they don't. That's kind of a last option because they're trying to let him develop. They don't want to have to throw him into the fire right now, especially behind an offensive line that's still developing. And so I think if it does get to that point, and it could, I'm definitely not saying it won't because they did take. I was asked that yesterday too. Was he on the trip? Yes, they took all 4 quarterbacks, so he could have seen some action, in Tampa if they had decided to. I still think Jalen Milroe will get another opportunity. He is an outstanding athlete. The neck up is what's held him back. He's got to get better at. You're talking about Ty Simpson being slow processing. I mean, I'm sorry, his head at least moves. Jalen Milroe's never moves. He locks in on one read. He stays at one read, and then he doesn't even want to run because he's got it in his head that they want him to be a pocket passer. He's always thought he's a pocket passer, and he needs to be taking advantage of what God gave him, and that's an unbelievable ability to run the football.
Ty's a redshirt freshman too. In terms of leadership, I'll just say being a SEC quarterback leader is just a different animal, and you're a redshirt freshman.
He's never played in a meaningful game. Look, Mac Jones wasn't a great leader right away either, man. You got to earn it and go out there and play and ball out, okay?
Yeah.
If he keeps balling out, then Ty Simpson can win the team. And Ty needs to show more maturity as well. I'm anxious to see how he reacts to this because, again, I know he and his father were frustrated as well. They all want to play. Well, you just got a chance to play, man. You got a chance to play 2.5 quarters.
Yeah.
You won a game. How are you going to react this week in practice? Are you going to go out and are you going to leave the guys? Or are you going to go out there and practice well? Don't sulk. Any of y'all. I mean, who wants to be a leader on this team? I just got through saying it in the show.
Yeah.
That especially offensively, that is a work in progress. Because I'll tell you this, there were some guys I saw out there yesterday offensively that I didn't think were showing any leadership, abilities, and who got their ass benched for good reasons.
256-576-4977 is the telephone number. It did make me think about the opportunity that Ty has. If he is given the keys, and listen, it's probably not going to be out there for the public and the media to absorb, but now that he has that, his legs underneath him to go through a week and get ready for an SEC opponent, we're going to talk a little bit more about Bama's next stop, which is a home game against Ole Miss, and how Ole Miss looked as well against Georgia Tech. All that on the other side. It is the Bama Recap Show presented by Freedom Marine Center.
There's nothing like the freedom you feel when you're on the water in your own boat from Freedom Marine in Guntersville. New or used, Freedom Marine has just the boat to make your time on the water the best it can be. Pontoons, fishing, ski boats, you name it. And all season long, Freedom Marine is giving away 4 packs of Alabama football tickets. Just log on the Freedom Marine Facebook page and like, share, and comment to be eligible. New and used boats, outboard sales, financing, service, and parts. It's Freedom Marine. Highway 431 in Guntersville and online at freedommarincenter.com.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time, or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, if you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
There's nothing like the freedom you feel when you're on the water in your own boat from Freedom Marine in Guntersville. New or used, Freedom Marine has just the boat to make your time on the water the best it can be. Pontoons, fishing, ski boats, you name it. And all season long, Freedom Marine is giving away 4 packs of Alabama football tickets. Just log on the Freedom Marine Facebook page and like, share, and comment to be eligible. New and used boats, outboard sales, financing, service, and parts. It's Freedom Marine. Highway 431 in Guntersville and online at freedommarincenter.com.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For the Sunday, expect mostly sunshine. High temperature is going to be topping out in the low 80s for the afternoon. We could see a passing shower or two heading into the afternoon as well, but most of us going to be staying dry. Heading into your Sunday night, mostly clear skies, low temperatures falling into the upper 50s. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You know, this process is all about talking ball.
Listen to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond.
What did they want privacy for? To just start talking ball.
Every weekday morning, wake up with Scott and Drew. It's Talkin' Ball. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Well, I think they all have an opportunity to compete for the job. But, you know, this job that you all talk about at quarterback, you know, I've told our quarterbacks, you know, this is not, fall camp is not the beginning of the end. You know, you got an opportunity to separate yourself, to show that you can play with consistency and play winning football at the position. But that competition goes on and on and on, and we need all of the quarterbacks to continue to improve and to continue to compete even far beyond the time that we name a starter. I mean, we've had circumstances around here where quarterbacks have changed during the course of the year. You know what they are. You understand the history of what's happened at this place. And so that's going to be the way this situation is. Somebody needs to separate themselves. And then I want all the players to continue to compete so that they can improve. So if they do get an opportunity to play, they're going to be ready to play and play well.
That's Coach Saban from August the 6th, as fall camp was just getting into the heat of things, but wanted to bring back those comments from Coach Saban. There's no doubt this will be another critical week for the Alabama Crimson Tide as they get ready for the Ole Miss Rebels. Along with Drew DeArmond, Steve Moulton here with you. It's the Bama Recap Show presented by Freedom Marine Center. Let's dive into it. Ole Miss is next, and the challenges that this will face for the Crimson Tide at home this Saturday afternoon.
Well, it's a Lane Kiffin offense. They're going to go fast. They're going to be able to score. Jackson Dart's been good so far. Judkins has kind of been contained a little bit, but he's certainly an extremely talented player capable of taking over a game. Their receivers have played pretty well, even though their top guy, I think, was out against Georgia Tech yesterday. So he'll certainly be back, I'm sure, for Alabama. Alabama's going to have to score some points because Ole Miss is going to move the football.
17 ain't going to do it.
No, 17's not. You're going to have to be able to probably get in the low 30s at least. To have a shot. And Alabama's going to have to figure out the quarterback position in a hurry. They're going to have to figure out the offensive line adjustments and hopefully have Tyler Booker back. Decide who you're going with and who you're going to ride with at right guard. Is it going to be Dalcourt? Is it going to be T.J. Ferguson? You got to make sure that McLaughlin's healthy and can snap the football, because turnovers will be huge in that game. Because that's either whether it's turnover on downs because Kiffin goes for it all the time like Golish did yesterday, or just forcing turnovers. So that's going to be a big part of it. But Alabama's going to have to be solid in all three aspects of the game. But the biggest two issues going into the Ole Miss contest are quarterback and who you're going to play, and then offensive line. I still say you give Ty Simpson a shot. I know it's an SEC game, but, again, I thought he showed enough in the game, enough potential, and he took care of the ball. Now, if he had turned the ball over and you have to win that game in overtime, against South Florida, then I think it would cast some doubt, and you might see Milroe back. You still may, but I would roll with certainly Ty Simpson as the starter. You've got Milroe behind him, who's played in a game like a Texas game that you can probably bring him in. He's also come off the bench and won a game at Arkansas, so he's been through that. He would be my number 2 quarterback. I would keep trying to develop Lonergan, because if nobody takes the bull by the horns here and the quarterback play continues to not be good, then he's eventually going to get an opportunity. And then Buckner would be 4th, just simply because I don't think his skill set fits this offense and this personnel, and he just can't throw the ball well enough. I think, the thing about Milroe, he can make splash plays, man, and he is a playmaker, but he's also a turnover machine.
Yeah.
There is no doubt about that. I had somebody yelling at me on Twitter saying, you just don't want to see a playmaker at the quarterback position. I told him I've seen a lot of them. Bryce Young, Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts, Jake Coker, A.J. McCarron, Blake Sims. Sorry, guys. And let's not imply what I think you're implying, too, but whatever. I mean, I've seen a bunch of them, and he conveniently left out the turnovers of Jalen Milroe. You got to read the defense. You got to protect the football, and that's the first and foremost thing as a quarterback. And I thought Ty did that well enough to earn the start, but Milroe needs to stay ready because he's probably going to get another opportunity. And again, I'm not against Jalen Milroe. I just want to see somebody play winning football at the position, and that's what Nick Saban is saying.
Well, another factor for yesterday is the SEC did not look stellar again yesterday.
Not at all.
Although, boy, Missouri really tried to lose that one yesterday, but they were able to win it against Kansas State, 30-27, and that's big for the SEC.
It's big for Missouri and the SEC.
At the same time, Vanderbilt loses at UNLV. And then Arkansas, I saw the end of that game against BYU, and that was ugly to watch. Kudos to Ole Miss for their win over Georgia Tech. That's a nice win. But the SEC, in terms of building up that strength this year, it's just not there.
It's not. I mean, Georgia looked bad for a half, but they stepped up and won the game in the second half. And their defense.
I did not watch any of the Auburn-Samford game. I need to watch that today.
I need to study over how Auburn played. I believe they won 45-13.
They did.
I mean,
but it was 0-0 after the first quarter.
The team of the week, if you want to have one in the SEC, is LSU.
Oh yeah,
they crushed Mississippi State. I mean, just absolutely smashed them.
I totally whiffed on that one.
I did too. I picked State in a very close game.
I said LSU, but I thought it was going to be closer than the 9 points.
I whiffed twice because I picked Tennessee to step up and win 28-24.
I did too. I did too.
And Joe Milton is who I thought he was. And now they want Nico Iamale money bags to play quarterback position.
Something that you told us on the drive that I completely forgot about. So, Graham Mertz is now 2-0 against Joe Milton, once at Wisconsin and now once at Florida.
And let's just say the scores left no doubt.
Oh, no doubt.
What team was the better team?
Ooh.
I'm sorry, but, so right now we don't really know who's good. I still don't think we do.
I don't think we know how good or bad Georgia is right now.
Just think about Florida State. They nearly lost to a Boston College team that's not very good.
That's right.
Okay.
Texas was tied with Wyoming.
And here's another. And I got another caveat with there, Steve. I got a phone call late last night because I did not watch that game.
Mm-hmm.
Wyoming didn't even have their starting quarterback.
I didn't know that. I don't have the Longhorn Network, so I didn't watch it either.
I don't want the Longhorn Network.
Well, it's about to go away.
Yeah.
Wow. But I am of the opinion, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I have yet to look at the lines. I think Ole Miss will be favored.
I think Alabama will probably be about a field goal favorite. I haven't seen the lines either, but just because Alabama's at home, and I think Ole Miss has shown some vulnerability.
But I think that would be good if Ole Miss were a favorite.
Because I don't think Nick Saban, maybe the LSU game in 2007, they were a home underdog. But it's been a long time. I think they'll be a very slight favorite, and Ole Miss has every chance in the world to win the game. Alabama's got a lot of things to work on, especially offensively at the quarterback spot and on the offensive line.
Well, that'll do it for the Bama Recap Show presented by Freedom Marine Center. We will be back here next Sunday morning at 11 a.m. digesting the Alabama-Ole Miss game. By the way, that is a CBS game, so it's an 11:30 pregame here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and you'll be able to hear it. Eli Gold will be on the play-by-play call since it is a home game. That'll do it. Appreciate you listening and watching as well. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Truist Coin Toss next. First station identifications. We're at the top of the hour on the Atlanta Falcons Radio Network.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7